Hey there, you are listening to the B2U podcast, and I am your host, Vanessa Vaughn Matthews, the founder and Chief Resilience Officer of Asphalis Advisors. The B2U podcast is brought to you by CBRBiz.com, a site connecting you with the resources you need to start and run a business in the Charlotte region. We're bringing business resources directly to you. We discuss a wide range of topics like starting and growing a business, navigating government contracts, and how to set your business apart in and around Charlotte. We're talking with small business experts to get exclusive advice on how to start and run a successful business. Today on B2U, we're looking at mentorship in Charlotte. If you're looking for a mentor, where do you go? What do you look for? How do you become a mentor? And more importantly, where do you start? I am so thrilled to talk to Stacy Casio of Pink Mentor Network. Stacy helps women identify and utilize mentorship in their careers and their businesses. Stacy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Vanessa. I'm so happy to be here.
I wore pink just for you.
I noticed. I always take note of who's wearing pink in my presence, for sure.
Pink in my presence. Love it. Hashtag.
Yeah, right?
So before we get started, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I actually, before starting this business, was the head of engineering for a manufacturing company. And my team was all male dominated. The industry was male dominated, and the organization had male leaders. So my quest to find mentorship outside of the organization was to find a female mentor who I could kind of mimic her strong leadership characteristics and how she was successful in her organizations. And since I didn't have that internal in the organization, I started mentor dinners about 2 years ago. And it was all out of pure selfishness. I just wanted to find a mentor. And I realized it's very, very hard. A lot of women would, accept my call, have coffee, but then I couldn't advance that relationship because there was nothing in it for them. They weren't helping me. I wasn't helping them in their business. It was a little bit difficult to figure out. And so I started thinking, well, if I could give them the stage and a microphone and an audience, then maybe they would be willing to help out the mission. And I never could have predicted what happened from that. It's just been amazing to watch how mentorship really pulls us all together. We're all so hungry to learn from one another. Mm-hmm. And when we have that opportunity to really get the dirt of someone's career and then how to apply it to our own, just amazing things happen. So it's been such a privilege to pull these amazing women together and, just tap into what they've done with their careers.
Love it. So what is Pink Mentor Network?
Yeah, so today it looks so much different than those mentor dinners 2 years ago. So after I started realizing I could get great mentors to show up, and the first woman who said yes to me was Congresswoman Alma Adams. Yeah, and she was, first of all, to have a woman of that stature say, yes, how can I help you out? I think that's really powerful, is the people who are willing to invest in you. And so I was like, wow, if she's going to say yes, then I must be on to something. And Pink Mentor Network started as mentor dinners, kind of started as events. Then I realized there was a community hungry for these events. And as the community started to develop, I had great business mentors who said, if you can find some patterns in this community, some things that each person is struggling with when they come to the events, what they're looking for, then we can build some strategies. And the strategies are what we can scale and make a business. And it's been phenomenal to see that there really were patterns in the woman's career or in her business when she was struggling and what she needed from the mentors. And so we've built now a platform and a framework to help structure mentorship, because it's always something kind of so vague.
Yeah. So let's go back. So I met you almost a year and a half ago. Right. I was a speaker at one of your pop-ups in NODA.
Yes.
with two other amazing ladies. So how did you get started? And what was the aha to say, this needs to scale?
So it's so funny because I've been in Charlotte for about 15 years. I didn't know anyone in Charlotte when we moved here. It was just my husband and I. We had moved from New York. I'm originally from Kansas, so I couldn't get him to move back to Kansas, so we settled on Charlotte. And, you know, I was like, wow, there is so much influence and power and opportunity inside those big buildings in Uptown. But I didn't have access to any one of those connections, honestly. And so I started thinking about, all right, I need to identify key people to get to know and then demonstrate that I'm a great worker, that I'm a, you know, solid networker, that I have a passion about the city. And it really started to ingrain in me that mentorship and finding the right people to open doors for you is critical in your career. It will accelerate a career in business faster than anything else. Finding your next opportunity is one person, one introduction away. And when I realized that, I started thinking about who we needed. And that really changed my whole career. And it helped me get placed in the 4 roles that I've had here in Charlotte in those years. Is the mentor opened the door and made room for me. But what I didn't realize at the time is the people that I was seeking, you know, knowledge and experience from were, because I wasn't showing up with what was next for me, I was being placed on their plans and their, you know, initiatives and the things that they needed me to do, because they knew I was super resourceful and I would work my butt off, but they were putting me on their plan because I wasn't showing up with my own.
Yeah. So I think you said something really powerful, and I don't know if you even realized it, but you said I had to demonstrate.
Oh gosh, yes.
That I have a passion, that I'm a hard worker, and that I'm dedicated. So for people who don't understand, how do I physically demonstrate that? Can you give us some keys?
Yeah.
Stacy's Casio's keys for success here. How do you demonstrate that?
Yeah. So I will give you actually the example. The first time I saw it, it worked for me. I was working for a small business here in Charlotte, and they did not have a marketing person. And so it was right before the recession. I was like, well, I'm going to help them develop a marketing plan and some business development strategies, but I need to know people who know how to do this. So I volunteered for an organization that no longer exists, but it was the Business Marketing Association. It was a board of volunteers that were leading it, and they were in desperate need. And so I was like, well, I will step up and I will do events, because if I do events, then I will bring in the speakers I need to learn from. They will know who I am. I will be demonstrating how I can pull this together, put together a successful event, and then have access to all these powerful resources in the business marketing community when I had questions. And so that was the first time that I realized it's stepping up and doing work in front of people that see it, and then you can then tap into their resources. So sometimes it's giving work for free just to get started.
Yeah. So one of my mentors / sponsors / sister friend that I have here in Charlotte, one of her opportunities came from the nonprofit world. And so she always says, don't ever discredit the work that you do on these boards and the nonprofits that we serve, because people see you and they may not say anything, but they see you.
Yes.
So I love that. You've tied that in well. All right. So I get this question all the time, but I'm talking to the expert here. So how do you find mentors?
Yeah. So this part has been so interesting because through the community, the mentorship community that we've created here in Charlotte, I started to identify the key people that we needed at each place in our career or business in order to take it to the next level. But the most important thing, and the thing that I wasn't doing with some of my early mentors, is you have to know what is next in your career or business. If you don't know that, the direction that you get may not apply to where you're going. And so that was a common mistake that I saw a lot of women making, is we would ask for coffee with somebody that we thought was more successful, had a better title, made a lot more money, whatever it might be. Ask for coffee, but then show up with our baggage, our career baggage, our business baggage, the challenges that we have, instead of showing up with, what does the future of my career look like? What does the future of my business look like? When we show up with what's next for us, many, many people will open doors. And
even if you don't have it figured out?
So that's the piece. I think you have to do that exploration, and you have to give yourself grace to explore. You're not going to have all the answers. There will be times in, this, in your career or your business where you're struggling to figure out what's next. But you have to, again, do the work before you show up and, ask for mentorship on how to get there. That has been, I think, key in building and finding mentors. Is once I knew where I was going, I looked for people who were already there.
Yeah.
And then asked them very direct questions about how they got there, and then applied it to whatever I was doing, whether it worked or didn't, and then went back to them and showed results. I think those are the things that we don't do well enough, is the application, which takes some trial and error. So if you take their advice and apply it in some way, and then report back. On the report back, you'll oftentimes get that second, meeting, and the relationship keeps going from there.
Yeah. So what's the cadence for that follow-up, right? Like, should I be reaching out to you every 6 weeks, every quarter, twice a year, or does it depend on the relationship?
I think the way that I have seen it work best is you follow up when progress has been made on whatever they gave you. So if they gave you, a couple people to talk to, or if they gave you a couple podcasts to listen to, follow up with some feedback on the directions or instructions they gave you. So or this has also been big, is anytime that I know I'm using one of my mentor's ideas, I will report back, I used this. Like, for instance, I have to name drop a mentor because he gets upset when I don't. But Chris Elmore is the one who taught me the patterns concept, that to identify the patterns, and then we can build strategies. But when he taught it to me, he was actually saying, identify patterns in your own behaviors, and then we'll develop a strategy in order to not do that type of behavior again. And then I started thinking about it, okay, what if it applies to a collective? And so I reported back to him, I used your nugget of mentorship, but in a different way. And I think him realizing that I was using all this experience and wisdom he had shared with me, but in my own way, and applying it to my issues and situations. I mean, that's what everybody really wants, truly, is they want to know that what they're doing, the work they're doing, matters to someone. Yeah. And so when you can give them that feedback, I think it's huge.
Stick around. We'll be back in a minute. Our featured partner today is Prospero. Prospero empowers Hispanic entrepreneurs by providing training, support, and resources. When immigrants come to America, they can have trouble finding the resources they need to start a new business because of the culture and language barriers. Prospero's Spanish-speaking experts connect business owners to experts in legal, accounting, planning, and marketing. Prospero allows Spanish-speaking businesses to achieve the American dream. If you want to learn more about Prospero, head over to cbrbiz.com. What kind of network do businesses need?
Yeah.
Right? Charlotte is growing at a massive rate. I think we're up to 100 people moving here a day.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
And you hear conversations on both sides. Some entrepreneurs are prospering here, and you have entrepreneurs that are not prospering here, right? What kind of network do we need?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of stages of your business. So the first one, when you have that idea of a startup or have an idea that you think is worth pursuing, a side hustle even, look for a person who has been successful in a similar type area. So you don't want to look for a direct competitor, because when we go to our direct competition, we tend to hoard the information.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've always been really good at is connecting dots. So I will look at somebody that is an example of success for me, it'd be like building a community or hosting events, or now I'm working on a digital platform. So I started looking at people who've done that successfully. So you want a mentor to help you understand how to begin. And that person is actually kind of the example of what success looks like. So they will have a lot of those first answers, how did you get started? Who did those types of things? They give you the place to start. So that also works when you're starting in your career, is you want to enter an organization and look for an example of success.
Yeah.
Who are the people that are successful in this, and how do I get their attention?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then you'll need to look for somebody that will help you grow your network. So I call that mentor your connector. So they're helping you grow your network. They're helping you grow perhaps your brand. They're helping you grow capital, whatever that might be. So the connectors are often your most extroverted or most they're well connected, and so they're able to connect you to other opportunities. Then you will definitely need a survivor mentor. So entrepreneurship is so lonely. I had no idea how lonely it would be. And the survivor mentor reminds you that it's not your friends, it's not your family. It's somebody who believes in what you're doing and reminds you to keep going. Because there will be a lot of painful, hard decisions, hard days. You wonder if you're doing the right thing. And you need that person that isn't the person that you're in the house with, or isn't the person that you go for drinks with or text. It's the person, not the person you vent with, but a person that believes in you and your mission. The other mentors that I always recommend getting are a leader mentor. So this is important when you're trying to build kind of especially in your career. This is the most important when you're trying to build a leader reputation. And so looking for people on how they connect with others, how they build followership. Not every leader's communication style will be aligned with yours. So just watching the most successful leaders and understanding how they're doing those things. And then the two other mentors that you need are technical based. So you need someone who is an industry pioneer. And even if you don't meet with them, just understanding what they have done, because they have so much historical information about your industry that they're just a wealth of knowledge, and watching what they've done is amazing. But on the flip side of that, you need some early adopter mentors. And the early adopter mentors help you see trends and help you see forecasts and things that might be coming up in your industry that you haven't even applied yet. So there's 6 mentors that every business owner needs.
That is amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Both of you guys are amazing. I love it. So how do you evolve a relationship between a mentor and a sponsor? And I'm going to tell you why I'm asking you that. I was reading an article, and it said women oftentimes have no problem asking for a mentor, but we don't seek sponsors, right?
100%.
So I've always been educated that sponsors, you don't just ask somebody, hey, can you sponsor me?
Nope.
Sponsors seek you.
Mm-hmm.
So help our listeners understand how that relationship can evolve. Can your mentor become your sponsor? Are they separate? What does that look like?
Yeah. So this actually came through the community also. I started to notice that the events that I was giving people opportunities to attend introduced them to really successful female executives in Charlotte. And those women had a lot of experience and could answer questions, but they couldn't apply it to each person in the in the event.
Yeah.
So we came up with the 3 different levels of mentorship. And the first one is informal mentors. So these are the folks that have a thought, have a podcast, have a book, have some research, have some expertise in whatever you may be doing, but you may never ever meet them. So for instance, I, as an entrepreneur, was trying to, silence all that self-doubt. And so I, every Monday, would start by listening to How I Built This with Guy Raz.
Yeah.
And just understanding that the questions are part of the process, and that even the most successful entrepreneurs are going through this. So that helped me, but I'll never meet Guy Raz or anybody. Well, maybe I will.
Knock on wood here.
Okay, I take that back. But yeah, so, having some direction from experts without even, no, it's just your place it's like a starting ground.
Right.
It's where you're going to build from.
Absolutely.
And then formal mentors are the folks who have experience but don't know you personally. So they can answer your questions, but the sponsors are the ones who can take their experience and apply it to you because they know you. So oftentimes sponsors are people that we have worked with because we've already demonstrated who we are, what we know, what we're good at, all of our abilities. And the sponsor is able to take their expertise and their knowledge and apply it to what we need.
Got it. Okay.
Sponsors are also key in bringing us to the table and making room for us at the table. They're also great at pointing out where the door is. Many times we don't know what types of opportunities are out there until somebody points it out. So it's great, but that all comes from that person has enough experience with you and believes in you enough to know that you're going to take advantage of the opportunity. Yeah. So it happens over time.
And they trust you, right, to put you in that position. I mean, you don't just open doors for everybody.
Exactly. It's special. It's a gift.
Yeah. So your comment about pointing you in the right direction in terms of which door to go through takes me back. I read a book by Bishop T.D. Jakes called Instinct. And he went to Africa and he went to the safari with his son while his wife stayed home and prayed for him. And they were looking at all the different animals in the safari. But one thing that he talked about was whenever you're in a new environment, you need to probably be more quiet than you are not, because you don't understand the environment. You don't know what's going on. You don't know the landscape. There's so much that you don't know, right? So to me, I would think that a mentor can help you understand that. But also I would think that your sponsor is probably going to help to coach you on that before you get into that environment, and so that you don't step on the wrong toes, say the wrong thing, but you understand, hey, for the first meeting, this would be my approach.
Yeah.
Maybe meeting 2 or 3, you do something different.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think a sponsor knows you well enough that they know your blind spots. So they're going to offer some coaching. And it's something that you and I were talking about earlier is the mentors and the sponsors in your life can't be manufactured.
Yeah.
I have found that's where organization programs fail, is that when they're trying to pair individuals together and say this would be a perfect match, or even some like industry groups will do that now, like here's your mentor. You can't manufacture the chemistry around mentors or the people that are going to help you get to the next level. That has to be something someone wants to invest in you and your idea enough to give you their time and their wisdom. And the mentee, the person that's going to take that information, needs to do the work behind it to continue the relationship to grow. Yeah. So yes, I definitely agree with that. I think there is a reason that we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth. Sometimes we just need to listen a little bit more.
My husband would agree with that.
Mine too. Let's not let them listen to this.
Right. So what's the difference between finding a mentor for your career versus business? Because sometimes I meet people where I'm an entrepreneur and I want to be here, right? Or we may have our own employees, right, at our own companies that may not want to be an entrepreneur. So how can we coach them on how to find your mentor for your career versus us as CEOs having to find our mentors for our businesses?
It all comes back to what we were talking about earlier. What is next? So, for instance, when I was beginning the community, I was looking for more community development mentors. But in my business, I am now working on scaling that through a digital platform. So now I'm looking for people that can help me take it to that level. So regardless if it's your career or your business, it's important to know, what is next for you? Is it the promotion within the organization, or is it taking your business to a new city? Like, where are you going? And then you'll find the people. I think that many of us look for the people first to give us the answers because we're soul searching.
Yeah.
And you can have conversations in those moments that will help, maybe get you to the answers sooner. those probably aren't going to be your mentors. Those are just people that you're asking for their time and what they did, their experiences, because perhaps it would spark something in you. When you're really looking for a mentor, you need to show up with what is next for you or your business.
Got it. And so how do the needs for your mentors change as your business changes?
Yeah. So I think very much your mentorship network will continue to expand as your business expands, because there will be a lot of what's next. So when it's just you, it's easy to know what's next. But then you get to a next level where there are divisions which each have a different goal or mission. So they're going to need some different mentors in those divisions in order to take your business to the next level. So just thinking about, once there are many goals for the organization, then you're probably looking for a larger mentorship network.
Awesome. Stacy, before we wrap up, is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners?
No, I mean, I really feel strongly that what we're missing in our careers and businesses is the ask of the right person, and then do the work and show up with the results and continue to develop those relationships, because there is nothing better. And this has been a giant aha moment, is every time I ask someone, a woman, to share her story, she leaves the room and she says to me, I didn't think I had so much to share. How did I learn all of that? In fact, I think you even said that. We just don't. Every day we're collecting new information, learning new things, and it isn't until we share it with someone that you're like, wow, this is impactful. This is big. Yeah. This is important.
Well, I think the other thing to that is when we share, we're creating legacy.
Yes.
People can pick that up and do something with it, versus if I keep it to myself.
100%. 100%. And I think there is a difference between sharing online and then that offline, let's share and let me help you grow. That to me is some of the biggest legacy that you can leave.
Absolutely.
And impact.
So where can our listeners find you? I'm sure you are on social media, websites. Where can they find you?
Yes, I am on all of those things. However, I was off for 2 years, so it's a lot. But pinkmentornetwork.com, and then we are on Instagram, Pink Mentor Network, and Facebook, we're Pop-Up Mentor and Pink Mentor Network. So.
Thank you so much for listening. Do you want to learn more? Head to cbrbiz.com to have access to resources on starting and growing your business. If you're an entrepreneur looking to take your business to the next level, look no further than Charlotte Business Resources.